Believe it or not,
Okay, mute.
believe it or not, it's so cold here because it's minus 10 degrees. So I went to my living room where my heater is on, and all of a sudden my computer is saying it's overheating because it's sitting on a table with a instead of a hard surface here in my office in the basement. And all of a sudden it just died. Computer is like, once it's overheating, it just automatically died. And so I have to like change from the living room and go down here in my basement, which is colder, which is usually 10 degrees colder in the winter. But my computer doesn't, my laptop doesn't like the living room when there's heater. Now I know. I guess I should just do it here in my office in the basement. So this is what you call computer glitches. All right, so let's go back in actually sharing screen and the desktop. And this is where we left off actually. Computer started saving that as well because it's just all of a sudden died. So, all right. So now
So,
let's
are
just,
we still recording, Doc?
yeah, I just restarted the recording now. So that one was, it will automatically record and it ended. And now I just restarted the recording. So there will be different pieces of recording. So we are already in the, we were towards the end of the objectives for the class. And then again, I think the most important part is to analyze and interpret the data and then formulate your logical conclusions. So it's very important that when we make conclusion that we are not confounding our own biases, that we should make a conclusion based on the construct that we measure in our study. Um, I will also provide some important reading about theory and measurement. There is actually a paper by Dr. Lee Smith, who is an expert on scale development and measurement of the different phenomenon of interest in nursing. And in his editorial, he was really very clear that it is important that our measures, that our tools are based on theory, so that when we make conclusions also, we go back to the theory. We go back to our theory construction. We go back to our conceptual framework, and then base your conclusion on those conceptual frameworks, because those are what you're trying to measure. Those are the things that you put into your tools in your questionnaire. So you can't really jump from, if you measure satisfaction, you cannot make a conclusion that the quality of care is excellent, because satisfaction is not the same as quality. So it's so important to always go back. What was the construct, and what was the theory? What was the conceptual framework of your questionnaire? And you've got your data now. Then you base your conclusion on those constructs, on those concepts. So these are some of the very basic examples that I have seen in the literature, and as a reviewer and as an associate editor in the past, and now I just renewed my associate editor again, because it's always important to become editor because you have a lot of power to accept and and also facilitate publications of your students. So it's a lot of work, but it's important to always go back to being editor or associate editor because it gives you a lot of access. So anyway, what I've learned in those years when I was a contributing editor is that this last objective is really quite a problem, because when authors are making conclusions, I always scrutinize that, okay, is this conclusion based on the theory and based on the conceptual framework of the tools that they use? Because you always need to go back. What were those constructs? What were those concepts? And what were those theoretical framework that became the basis of the tool of the questionnaire that the scientists use? And therefore, your conclusion must always go back to those constructs. So when you measure satisfaction, you cannot make conclusion about quality, because those two are very different things. So again, that's the last objective that I'd like you to always remember, is that statistics will give you the mathematical and the different modeling,
Ang classic.
but you always have to go back. Just mute your microphone so we don't have to we don't have to hear all the echo.
Sorry.
It's okay. Welcome. And so that's the last one that I put as our objective. As I mentioned earlier, this is quite ambitious, that we're going to cover this in the next 7 weeks. And then I have to give you tests, then I have to give you different practice, because again, the mantra in teaching statistics now is that the student must be taught in a way that a practicing statisticians are conducting analysis. So we'll try to really avoid that pitfall where doctoral students will just hand in their data to the statistician, and then the statistician give all this analytic output, and the student actually is like, how do I interpret all of this? I don't understand this. And so it's very important that that the student really have hands-on experience on how to create this statistic output, so that when your statistician gives you something, you really understand the fundamentals and the concepts of the statistics that are being printed out for you to put in your doctoral paper. So I think that's the